Now this is the final result that we could have gotten through any of the three methods discussed: rotoscoping, difference matting, or blue screening. Obviously you couldn't get to this by just doing basic masking, but once you're here, we want to try and make the elements look, well, they look okay, but it's never going to look 100% real, so we just want to make them match that little bit extra. And the first technique is stacking visual effects. And what this does is, if you add an effect to every soldier in this composition, it's going to make them match because they've all got that same effect. So for an example, if I add curves to all of it, they all become contrast. And as you know, real life doesn't look like this. It's not as contrasted. But when every soldier in this scene is contrasted, and the background as well, it makes them look like they belong. And you can add a tint if that's a bit overpowered, and that tint applies to everyone and makes them match. And if you add a vignette, it adds more to the scene. And just to prove a point, I know this looks ugly, if you add night vision, they'll even look like they belong. Because night vision, obviously you would never use this effect in a final thing, but if every soldier has night vision, it makes them look like they all belong in this scene. Obviously you would never use the night vision. You could probably get away with using the noise, but that's about it. Now the second technique I'm going to use is one borrowed from Andrew Kramer, but I'm just going to add my own touch to it. So create a new composition the size of your screen. Don't worry about the frame rate or the time code. Hit OK. And now what we're going to do is go Layer, New Solid, and create a white solid. Then make a new layer and draw a plus sign in black, and we're going to put that into the middle of the screen. Then we're going to hit B and N, which will end the composition only one frame. Go Composition, Add to Render Queue, set it to a JPEG or PNG sequence, either one will work, maximum quality of course, and save it to the desktop. Once that's done, you'll open up the PNG. I'm using Windows Photo Viewer. Go full screen, and now get your camera out and do a fake camera move, and we're going to track the plus. Now make sure you turn your screen brightness up to however high it'll go. That's as high as mine will go. Okay, and once that thing pops off, just do a smooth camera movement. Just handheld, nothing too shaky. Alright, so we're back in After Effects, and we've got the footage on a new composition, and we're going to hit Track Motion. We're going to use rotation and position, and as you know, the larger the track points are, the longer it takes to track, but also the more accurate. So we're going to go, medium-sized trackers, and then just hit track forward. Alright, once that's done, go Layer, New, Null Object, edit target to the null, apply the position and the rotation, apply to the X and Y, and there we have it. Our null is sticking to the plus, and that's what we want. Okay, so now you copy that and paste it in your other composition. Okay, what we do is we hit P, Shift R, and go to the null, hit P, Shift R, and we are going to alt click on the position stopwatch, parent it to the position, alt click rotation, parent it to the rotation. Now as you can see, the rotation's a little bit too much, so times 0.1, that'll reduce it by crazy. And then we grab the pan behind tool and find the center point, and we'll just drag that so it's pretty much in shot. And if we scrub through, we can see we've got a camera movement. Now as you can see that the edges are black. You could use motion tile like Andrew Kramer does, but this is 1080p. No one authors Blu-rays for their home movies, I hope, so 720p will be absolutely fine. That'll be good for the internet, and still much too big for DVD. So we scale it down to 720p, hit the scale that down, and then remember, don't move it because it's attached to the null's position. Use the pan tool to move it, and we have to make sure that there's no black, so maybe a bit bigger than that. Maybe we could get away with doing this, and just scrub through and see if any of the edges are showing. That looks good. Yep, that looks good. Just quickly before we finish this tutorial, I'd like to talk about one final technique that I used to duplicate henchmen, and it requires no visual effects at all. It's all camera work. And what happens is the cameraman is doing one long handheld dolly, and all the henchmen are lined up. Now I stand behind the cameraman and look at his screen, and whenever I see a henchman go off screen, I say off, and that means that that henchman knows to run to the front of the queue and line up again. So for every henchman that goes off screen, we get another one who comes on, and essentially we have an unlimited stream of henchmen. This is what the final effect looks like. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, hope you watched all the parts, and go out there